I'm Jenkinson, caravan industry expert. Welcome to my channel. Well, welcome to the channel and welcome to a new video. Now, today I'm back at the NEC, but I'm not back here for a caravan show. No, I'm actually back to go to the restoration show. So it's classic cars, and someone tells me there's a few classic caravans there. So what I'm going to do is do a glimpse of the show, take some shots, and probably do a couple of little reviews on the classic caravans. It's a gorgeous day, the sun's shining, there's plenty of people here. I've had a good trip down, no hold-ups, nothing. It's been brilliant. It's a Sunday, I'm coming the last day. Anyway, I want to get off and get on the inside there and have a look around, see what there is to see. Right, I'm just interrupted because these are TVR sports cars, as you've seen. But the thing that interested me about these is they were literally made 5 minutes down the road from where I live. And I can remember these in my school days. Not this one because this is far new, this is one of the later ones. But I can remember them, and in the early 80s especially, when I got married and moved to where I was, they used to use the road at the bottom of our street literally as a testing ground until the local council decided that it was far too dangerous, even though it was a dead end. But they used to hammer them down there, which was a sight to see, believe me. Look at this, this is an old one here, look, mid-60s apparently this one. Because TVRs were basically kit cars originally, and they were still built like that in the factory. But I can remember the factory very well because the company I worked for actually moved next door to them, and all the moulds of these cars were stacked up high outside, and every now and again you get a glimpse of looking in at the factory and watching these things being made. So it reminded me a bit of the caravan days regarding coach built caravans, you know, everything was handmade and what have you. But it's just a shame the company went, got taken over by a Russian guy who was going to make speedboats, and within months really it was all done and dusted and finished, and then they were going to start building new modern ones again, I think down in Wales. But I believe that's now come a bit of a stop as well, because the car they were showing some years ago, they never actually got into production, is now out of date. But these are something really a bit sort of different and dear to my heart. Look at that, a real proper chassis. So this is a TVR stand. So yeah, I had to come and just butt in on this video and talk about these, because they do, you know, I do have a lot of good memories of these, shooting up and down the road and watching them being test driven. Just going to have a quick look at this one inside the cockpit before I shoot off, because I know we're a caravan channel really, but I think just doing something like this is a little bit different. Look at that, everything was handmade. And in the engine compartment it was a Cosworth engine. There was lots of quality problems with them as well. I know people that had owned them and said that they had problems with them, but they were still put together by humans back in the day. Right, I'm going to leave the TVR stand and I'm going to go hunting around. Right, well, I couldn't go past this without having a quick look at it. This is an Austin Allegro, or as we used to call them, Austin Agro. Dad went and bought one of these. I can even remember the number plate, WHG 5R, and it had this. It was a 1.5, but it was also an automatic. And I just passed my test, probably about 12 months when I started driving on this. And I remember taking the odd young lady out, but they were never impressed with Dad's Agro, and I was never impressed with it, to be honest. And to be honest, Dad was never over impressed. I don't think he kept it very long either, but it was this sort. His colour was slightly tanned colour than this. I think they've done something fancy on the engine on here, but yeah, it would be around about 1978 when we had one. But I can remember this. It was after he'd given up towing and got a static Caravan, and this is what he came home with. Yes, Dad, I can remember it well. And it wasn't very fast at all. In fact, I'd say it was very, very sluggish. But that was motoring back in the 1970s. And as a young, newly passed driver, you know, you always wanted to try and impress your friends, and I could borrow it, clean it, wash it, polish it, and Dad let me borrow it, put a bit of petrol in it, and away I'd go. But as I say, it didn't really impress anybody. I think actually Dad's came with headrests as well, because he was, I think, something like a HL. But look at that, look how basic that looks now. Brilliant. How did I ever drive around in one of these? I do not know. Anyway, that's another one of these snippets again from the show. Pretty busy. Lots of cars here to see. Austin Maxis, oh God. Cortinas, Corsairs, you name it. Right, I just spotted this actually, because this is a Suntour Campervan. These were put on several different sorts of car bodies, but they did it on the Marina, which was it was relatively popular. And of course, it was a high top, so the roof, it was a lift up top on it, GRP, so that lifted up. But this one has been found, and I think it's ready to be restored. But as I say, they were made by a company called Suntour. I think you'll find one possibly in one of my books on this, actually. But that's got some work to be done. But I'm sure it'll be well worth it. I have seen other Suntours on old Austin A60s in really nice condition, and the woodwork and quality was really good on these. But this was doing around about 1973, 74 on a Morris Marina. Right, I'll leave you on that one. Well, I've just come here on the Period and Classic Caravan stand. I've just been talking to Chris Saunders and his delightful wife Margaret, and they've just given me the rundown on the show. I think it's been relatively successful. I'm going to do some separate videos on these. Now this Sprite I know very well. I remember seeing the original owners, and I did a feature in the Caravan and Motorhome Club magazine in about 2012, and also in a magazine called Scottish Caravaner that I used to got very heavily involved with, which was a great magazine, but sadly no longer with us. So I'm going to do a separate video of that. And also, now there's this Winchester here, which you'll find the video on the channel, and I did that on one of the rallies. Now it's very interesting, it's very nice, it's a lovely van, but I'm also drawn to the Willoughby Caravan at the back there, because that is pretty rare too. Now they made loads of those, but very few survived. A lot were scrapped back in the late 80s, early 90s, and those that did survive probably survived because they were on private land and were used as a shed or something. But I don't know where that one's come from. But anyway, I'm going to do an individual video on that, and also hopefully on a camper van as well. But I'm going to try and do this first, because this show has got so much to see, and it's really a great show. I've really I've not even got into the hall, and that's unlike me. I've seen people and chatted to people. It's been very, very interesting. Anyway, I'm going to do a review first on the Willoughby. Well, this is a PCC stand, which is their 40th year. I joined in '83, and no, I'm not a member at the moment. I should be. I did come out and went in, came out and went in. I haven't got a classic van myself, unfortunately. Let's have a bit of a better look at that Willoughby from here. Right, I'm going to go and do. I'm going to do a couple of reviews and on these two old Tourers. One from, I think, the early 50s, and the one from 76 is a Sprite. The owners I think it's a 1948 this Willoughby, but I'd say it's a little bit later personally. But I'll have a look and check up on that. It's still a Willoughby Tourer, which are very rare. Well, just opposite the PCC stand there's this rather nice Toyota-based campervan, and it's a Spacemaker Rio. And judging by it's a 1977-78, which by that time a lot of converters were using Toyota Hiaces and the chassis cabs. I think Newlander motor caravans near Hull were using it as well. Look at this. This is pretty rare. I just love all how it's all been laid out here, look. And it's in lovely condition. I mean, it's probably been restored, no doubt. But I love all this. Fantastic. This would obviously sleep 4 people. And the cab, you know, to get through that cab. And at that time, you know, they were sticking radios in Japanese vehicles, which was unheard of as standard in UK-made vehicles. There's 3 seats here at the front. I don't know how that would be in today's safety regulations things. I'll have a quick look round the back here for me, please. It says on there Campervan is not for sale. I don't blame them. Right, I'm out here at the back. And that's your side kitchen. And your wardrobe here. Look at that kitchen. A little Electrolux fridge, which to put it on gas you had that flint there. You had to flick away at that and hopefully get your fridge lit, which of course you could only use once you were sighted. But I really love it. It's in nice condition. It looks really, really good. That TV looks very much like the telly that my parents used to have in our touring caravan as well. I don't know if it is or not, but it looks very much like it. That's great. This show has been so good. I've not got around to see everything at all. It's just one of them, isn't it, you know. Right, I'll move on. Let's hear everyone's picking up. I just don't know where the time's gone today. That's really splendid. That's really good. Right, I'm going to go and see a Domobile over there if it's still there, so I'm going to go and quickly see that.